Well, good evening, and what can I say? A very, very warm welcome to Camelot Castle. And I have to say, this evening is one of the most beautiful evenings here at Camelot Castle we've had for some time. And I'm so pleased. We've had some friends arrive here this afternoon, and it is just so glorious. And I just went outside and I took a photograph of it for you, a little video, and I'm just going to show this to you because that is actually how it is at Camelot Castle today, and very, very beautiful. It was earlier today. There was a little bit of cloud, and some new friends of ours arrived at this afternoon, and very good pilot indeed, this gentleman. It's all happening at Camelot Castle today. Now, lots of stuff going on in the world. Some very, very good. Thank you so much. It's very kind. Thank you. Lots of stuff going on in the world. Really, really exciting. All sorts of things are occurring here. And of course, for those of you that really want the inside skinny, please subscribe to Camelot TV Network on Telegram. That way I can share with you some of the really groundbreaking things that would be censored here on Facebook. So I would ask you all to subscribe to our Telegram channel, but also if I could ask you all to share whatever truth you run into on Camelot TV Network chat, which is also on Telegram. Now, the world is most certainly waking up. The world is waking up, and there is one thing that I am going to share with you this evening, and it's a very, very important message, and some of you have heard me talk about this before, but there is one weapon, and the sharing of this weapon is actually a revolutionary act. It is, or evolutionary act, I would say, because it assists in the evolution of the human spirit. There is nothing that you can do on planet Earth that will rapidly accelerate the victory that is coming down the pipe against the deep state. There is nothing more that you could do than share and read this book. Now, this book here, I first read it in 1990, and this book is called Dianetics. I don't know if anybody on here is aware of this book, but it's the first book that L. Ron Hubbard released to the general public when he discovered what it is exactly that is keeping mankind trapped and enslaved. Now, Patty Worsley is with us, and she says, I love Dianetics. Well, I love Dianetics too. I don't know anybody else on here loves Dianetics, but I just thought, I walked outside this evening, and you know, the feeling of freedom that you get. I'm just going to show you the little clip. This is actually what it is like at Camelot Castle right now. That is really what it is like. It is so peaceful here, it is so calm, and the space here is so extraordinary. But I will tell you, the only reason that we were able to acquire Camelot Castle, the only reason that we've been able to achieve what it is that we've been able to achieve in life is because of the words and the ideas that are written in this book. And Sharon Gillibrand has a comment. Let's see what she's got to say. Hi John, I hope you're all well. Yes, we are. We're very, very well. Everybody's doing marvelously. Now, there's a lot more information that we are giving out on the current global scene, but we cannot give that information out on our Facebook channel. What we can do on our Facebook channel is I can let you know that this book, by the way, if every single person watching this evening, and right now there's several thousand people watching this on the various different platforms, because we've got it now going on YouTube again, we've got it going now on Facebook. Of course, I'm still suspended from Twitter, which is a shame, but Twitter is really more of a political platform. It doesn't really, it's not of the people really. It's so biased now, and such a sort of a lefty, since they suspended Trump and really have shown they're not a free speech platform really. You just, it's a shame, but there we go. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll reinstate me one day. But here's the thing. This book here, if everybody watching now, which is about 1,000 people, were to reread this book in a new moment of time, and if you were to give this book to 10 people, within a week, we would all notice the most massive shift in the direction of positivity. In this book, Hubbard actually discovered the filing structure of memory, where memories are filed, how memories are filed, and he discovered that certain memories have a tendency of misfiling. And he discovered where they misfile, and he discovered a way to locate those misfiled memories. And the funny thing is, with this book here, you can actually cure anybody with depression. So anybody out there that has any type of mental health difficulty at the moment, if you're having a hard time, sure, you can go and talk to a psychiatrist and he'll give you some sort of pill. That may even make you feel better in the short term, but in the long run, that pill will poison you and will not help you or your body. This book, to my observation of life, and I've been very blessed because I've known about this for a very, very long time. You see, Ken Ferrara says, Dianetics is the only valid scientific system to evolve to higher states. Freddie Jones says, John, I have an approved Dianetics audio commercial for radio for Sydney and then other cities in Australia. That's fantastic, Freddie. Good for you. You see, every time you get somebody to read this book, what you're doing is you are adding droplets of sanity into the world. And that is why the sharing of this book has actually become, I call it a revolutionary act. I think it is probably a little revolutionary. Now, yes, here we go. Somebody is slightly misinformed. Patricia Mahonga, and I think it's important to, I believe in free speech. So let's hear what she has to say. Patricia says Scientology is just another name for Satanism. Well, I understand your point of view, Patricia, but you've obviously never been properly briefed on Scientology, because I couldn't be less against any form of Satanism. I'm a Christian and I'm a Scientologist. And I've never been able to find any conflict at all between Christianity and Scientology. So while I understand that there are people out there that manufacture antidepressants, and there are people out there that don't like the fact that L. Ron Hubbard's discoveries can cure depression. And what they do is they go around spending money with advertisers and paying people to say silly things about Scientology. Maybe you've run into one of those, misinformed or sources. Well, let's have a look. So now she's come back. She says, I've studied and researched Scientology deeply, and it is completely satanic. Well, Patricia, okay. What I would suggest is that perhaps the sources that you've studied are not as reliable as the ones that I have looked into. And it is a very, very, it's plain to see. And here's the thing, if you want to have that opinion about Scientology, that's totally fine by me. It doesn't sound to me like you would benefit from it if you have that attitude towards it. And it's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. But the essence of Scientology is very, very simply, love thy neighbor and try and be, kind, if you can, to other people. And if you have information that is helpful to people or that helps wake people up, then share it. And that's really what I'm doing tonight. And I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm not even asking you to agree with what L. Ron Hubbard has to say in Dianetics. All I would say is, Patricia says, I believe in Jesus Christ. Good, so do I. Jesus Christ, incredible guy, wonderful, wonderful. Obviously was the Son of God, is the Son of God if you believe in the living Christ, as I do. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee if you don't mind. And, but Patricia, I think you're absolutely right. And what you will find is if you actually study Dianetics, your faith in Christ and your love of Christ will expand. Now, Ken Ferrara says, and Ken knows a lot about this subject because Ken, I don't even remember this, but you sold me my first ever course in Dianetics and Scientology. And it was a course that teaches you, some people have ups and downs in life. And one minute they're doing well and they're not doing well. And there's a very powerful course called actually the Ups and Downs in Life course. And Ken Ferrara sold me that course in Los Angeles in 1990. I think it was November 1990. Or no, maybe July 1990, I think it was. And it was a very, very helpful thing. And since that time, I've always understood when things don't go well, why they're not going well. Patricia, Patricia, I didn't mean, Patricia says not Christ, Jesus Christ. That's marvelous. I am a great believer and have tremendous faith in Jesus Christ. Different people refer to Jesus Christ in different ways, as I'm sure you know. And I didn't mean to, misname who it is that you, how it is that you call Jesus. And anyway, Ken says it was a privilege being able to do that. Well, it was a privilege for me, Ken, and I have to say this book is what initially led me to understanding so much. And my purchase of this book in a little bookstore down on Melrose Place, it was called the Bodhi Tree Bookstore, you may remember it. It was in Los Angeles, and it was a spiritual bookstore. And there on the bottom shelf, collecting dust, actually, was a paperback copy of this book. And I have to tell you, really, really exciting. Really, really exciting. So now, here we go. Here's some... is it true that, I'm sure this is a question, that Scientologists don't allow pain relief? Absolute rubbish. When I broke my rib skiing the other day, I had morphine, so I can absolutely assure you that pain relief, if you have 2 broken ribs, is very, very good. And obviously, you don't want to end up being addicted to morphine. So I think anybody that understands, any form of pain relief is a double-edged sword. You don't certainly want to be injecting yourself with morphine before breakfast every morning. I know some people do. Some doctors actually get addicted to morphine. No problem, Sinead. That is, those are lies that have been told. For instance, you hear that there were lies put out there about, for instance, when women are giving birth, that they can't have any form of pain relief. That is absolutely not true at all. My wife most certainly did. And no, what we advocate is if you have a medical problem, go and speak to the best possible medical doctor you can. So it's really, really, Sue Chippendale says, there are apparently many lies about Scientology in this upside-down world. You're right, Sue, there are. There are. Actually, I don't know if any of you have noticed, there's a lot of lies out there about a lot of things right now. And the reason that I am promoting this so hard is that one of the things that Dianetics will allow you to do is it gives you a much higher degree of control over your own mind. And now here we go. Shangri-La. This is a good question. Hi, John. Do Scientologists believe that extraterrestrials have played a part in humanity's history and have manipulated our DNA to make us a slave species? Well, and now this is sort of a tough question to answer, and I'll tell you why. Because I can't speak for all Scientologists, and also I have my own views about these subjects. In the subject of Scientology, in my experience, there is no direct reference to the manipulation of DNA. As to a person's viewpoints on whether or not there are such things as extraterrestrials, you know, I would come at it from a different point of view. I would say that if you yourself discover that you are an eternal being, in other words, that you have existed for a very, very, very long time, and if you yourself discover that in fact you may have existed for longer than Earth itself has been around, would that make you an extraterrestrial? You see, that's how I would come at it from a slightly different angle. The one thing that Dianetics does do, and this book, I mean, literally, you can buy this book online, and you can actually improve your memory. And when you improve your memory, you'll find that you start remembering all sorts of things about yourself and about other people, and a whole load of information that is actually stored in your own mind becomes available to you. And then it won't be me suggesting to you, Shangri-La, that you may be an extraterrestrial. You may be telling me, you know, that in fact, yes, I can remember existing on that beautiful planet, you know, a quarter of a billion miles out from Orion's belt, and you know, where the fishing was absolutely fabulous and the cocktails were delicious, and you know, you might be the person telling me that, but that's how I would come about it. And you're very welcome, Shangri-La. You're very, very welcome. Heather White is talking about energy harvesting by interdimensional beings. I have heard those theories. I've never heard them discussed in Scientology, but other people. You see, here's the purpose of Scientology is to increase your ability. It's to increase your ability, to increase your capacity to think and to use your mind. And this book, you see, this is why people have said to me, you know, there's so many people right now that are frustrated with the status quo, and they're upset about what's going on, or they're having some sort of a ding-dong with somebody who they feel they shouldn't be having a ding-dong with. And Amber Kwan says, hello, absolutely, hello, Amber. Have you read this amazing book, Dianetics? We're talking about Dianetics, and we're talking about how the sharing of this one book could do more to lift humanity at this point in time than any other act that you could engage upon. In fact, what I'd challenge you, if you are really sincere about helping mankind, buy 10 copies of this book and just give them to the 10 most able people that you know and ask them to read them. So important, so important. Michael Wood says, I've never been so relaxed in my life. Well done. Fantastic. Michael, that is wonderful. And I think it's great to be relaxed. I think it's very, very great to be relaxed. Michelle Blom says, haven't read it yet, but have got it. Well, Michelle, you know what your job is this weekend, is to read Dianetics. Take off the wrapper, like this one. You see this one's still in its wrapper. This is one I've actually bought in order to give to a lucky viewer that calls into Camelot Castle this evening and says, I saw John Mappin offering a copy of Dianetics to whoever rings in. And, you know, I don't want there to be any barrier between you and this information. And so actually, I'm taking delivery of many hundreds of copies of this book. And I'm going to be sharing them with people who I think are very able, you know. And one of the most interesting things about Dianetics and Scientology is that it was designed to help the able become more able, which is a very interesting idea, especially if you consider how many lives the able people affect. So what can I say? If any of you have any questions, now's your time. Oh, well, Rachel Bridgeford says, do libraries stock them? Yes, they do. And very, very important to understand that. You can go into any library, more or less, and you will find a copy of Dianetics, which has been translated, I think, into 50 languages so far. So even if you are in Kazakhstan, in fact, behind me there, can you see that blue book there? That blue book there is the Kazakh translation of Dianetics. The Kazakh translation. And over here, if I show you this, over here, on the other, you see over there, there's another blue book over there, blue and gold, that one there. I'll just see if I can get it in focus. It's on the other drawers. That's that one over there. Well, I'll tell you what that is in a second. That is the. Oh no! See, of course, I put it into the thing. Now, the blue one there, that over there, that there is the Kazakh translation, and the other blue one on the other table is the Turkish translation of Dianetics. And you may say, well, what on earth is the Turkish translation of Dianetics doing in John Mappin's living room at Camelot Castle? Well, one of the things that I have a penchant for is translations projects. And, you know, as far as charitable philanthropy go, I've always explained to people that I'm a bit of a meanie. I don't really like giving, you know, I'm not one of the, you know, we've done a certain amount of donations and so on and so forth. But one of the things I love donating to is translations programs, because I really believe that it never made much sense to me why the Holy Roman Empire did not want the Bible initially translated into multiple languages. They refused to allow it to be translated from Latin and Greek into the mother tongues of all of the things. And in fact, there was a big conference in Venice in around 620 with Saint Cyril turned up in Venice, and he wanted to get the Bible translated into Bulgarian, funnily enough. Saint Cyril, of course, is that Cyrillic script, which is the Russian script, was named after him. Rachel, libraries do stock this book. They may not stock it in all languages, but it has been translated. Now, Ken Ferrara says, it's a spiritual technology. Breakthrough scientific discoveries applied to the mind and the spirit as useful or more than the discovery of the wheel. Well, actually, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to read you what it says on the back of this book here. That's what I'm going to read you. It says, Dianetics is an adventure. It is an exploration into terra incognita, the human mind, that vast and hitherto unknown realm, half an inch back of our foreheads. Well, your mind is something that is well worth exploring and well worth understanding how it works. Jojo says, I already have a copy thanks to you, John. Good to see you back. Alex Morris says, I would love to read this book. Perhaps somebody could get in touch with Alex Morris, let him know how to. Darcy Goodall says, I have a copy, so I will not call. Someone else can have it. This book here, okay, Dianetics, you'll see it's still in its wrapping. This is a brand new copy, and this is a hardback. This is not your paperback copy. This is a hardback, and this will go tonight to the very, very lucky person. They have to give me a good reason. You have to call up Camelot Castle. The number is 01840 770202. You call up reception, you say, I believe that I deserve a copy of Dianetics. Well, you all deserve a copy, really, but just the person that gives the best reason is going to get this exact book. And I think it's so important. Sharon Gillibrand says, I don't understand what Scientology is, to be honest, John. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a whole buffet of tools with which to improve life and to help the able become more able. The main reason it was created was to bring about the end of war and to improve friendships and to make life more effective as it goes through eternity. And that was the whole purpose of it, and that's what L. Ron Hubbard was trying to do. And there's a number of things that it also does. It can cure depression. It can, within Scientology itself, there are breakthroughs that allow, we can now cure any drug addict in about 6 weeks. Very, very effective. It's a program called Narconon. You can find that now. What else is somebody? Rachel Bridgeford says, there's tomorrow's plan sorted. Well done, Rachel. This book is and I'd like you to share this broadcast because, by the way, if each and every one of you that reads this book gets another 100 people to read this book, okay? I said 10, I'm now going for 100. If each of this planet will change and all the people that you see that are behaving in a very silly way right now will stop being quite so silly. And, you know, that would be a real blessing because I don't know about you, but I am rather. Well, Ari Ross says, I researched and studied Scientology and I found it to be among the most helpful philosophies. I know a number of people who have been helped by it. Tremendous spiritual technology. So Ari Ross there has had a good experience of it. Shangri-La says, what would I do without Google Translate? Ari Ross says, a good way of describing it. Shangri-La says, signed by you, please. Yes, I will sign it. I will sign it. So, very, very exciting. We are discussing what is the most effective thing. Anybody out there who's feeling depressed about the current situation in the world, anybody out there that's lost a business, anybody out there that has lost a friend, anybody out there that's feeling suicidal, anybody out there that would like to make a bit more money, anybody out there who is just had a ding dong with their girlfriend or is feeling that things were going well and now they're lapsing. Okay, take this book, and you can order it online. Maybe somebody could put the online link up if you can't be bothered to wait for me to send it to you. Ken Ferrara says, and Ken is a very interesting young man because he actually sold me my first course, not this book. He didn't sell me this book. I bought this book in the Bodhi tree. The first ever copy that I read of this book was in the Bodhi tree. I bought that, but then I met Ken actually at the Church of Scientology in Los Angeles, a place called Celebrity Center International, which sounds very, swanky, but it really is just a very pleasant place to go and study. It's like a school for Scientology, really, and you can find it. It's on Franklin Boulevard. It's a fantastic spot. And Ken was there, and he sold me the first ever course. So he says it's been common knowledge that man only uses 10% of his ability, but until Dianetics, there was no dependent scientific method to tap into our tremendous potential. Spot on, spot on. Now here's the Narconon website for those of you that know, if you know anybody that gets addicted to drugs, you want somebody to help, if you have a loved one and you don't want them to, if they want to stay on drugs, totally fine. I'm not a moralist, I don't have a problem with that. But let's say there is somebody out there that does want to get off of drugs. They're fed up with injecting themselves with heroin or taking crystal meth or doing whatever it is that they're doing. This little website here, narconon.org, you can do that. Neil Fox says, hi guys, hello, how are you? My 9-year-old son, Rachel Bridgeford says, my 9-year-old son doesn't believe you just mentioned me. Can you say hello to Luke, please? Not only can I say hello to Luke, but I can say that, dear Luke, there is a copy of this book waiting for you here at Camelot Castle when you come here. And I don't know how good you are at reading, but if you prefer to watch a video, you will enjoy it. And my son Caspian, who is 6, he was 6 last week, some of you may have seen, he is 6 and he is already learning some of the principles of Dianetics. He's still a bit young to read this book, and you may well be too, Luke. But I can tell you, if there's one thing you want to give a child in life, and listen, I went to all the best schools, and Winchester College, I was educated by the same people that taught Freeman Dyson and the leader in quantum mechanics. I've had more good teachers chucked at me than most people deserve. And mainly I just went fishing and thought for myself, to be absolutely honest with you. But I can tell you this, the most valuable thing that you can give to any child as soon as they are able to pick it up and read it for themselves is this book here, Dianetics. So Mariah is also saying hello to Luke, and that is fantastic. Alex Morris just found a first edition of the book for £550. That's actually a very good price. Sometimes the first editions of Dianetics, the 1950 edition, go for over £10,000. And if you're lucky enough to find one that is signed by L. Ron Hubbard, those first editions are probably worth up to £1 million. I suspect that a signed edition of Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard, printed on first print run, first edition, is worth at least, in my view, £1 million. But these things vary. They're collector's items now, and collectors being what they are, I always get amazed what people collect. In fact, we'll have that discussion in a second. Ken Farrar says there is a Dianetics picture book which is good for adults also. Ken, you're right, and I don't know if I ever told you the story. I went to New York one time for Christmas, and I don't know quite how it happened, but I was ended up in a nightclub in New York that was run by the head of the New York Mafia. And I'm always very I don't mind talking to anybody, so I started talking to the head of the New York Mafia, and we became very good friends. And one day he came down to Los Angeles, and at the time I was studying Scientology at the Celebrity Center, and I had this call from the head of the New York Mafia, Joe he was called, very, very nice man. And he said, we'll come out for dinner. So he takes me out for dinner down at Lowry's in Beverly Hills, which is a huge sort of steak restaurant, much loved by the Mafia, apparently, when they come to Los Angeles. And after dinner, it was still quite early, so he said, well, what should we do? I said, well, one of the things that's very interesting that I've been doing here is I've been studying Scientology. And he said, well, I've always wanted to know about that. So I took him to an exhibition of L. Ron Hubbard's works, which is on Hollywood Boulevard. And if you live in Los Angeles, you'll be aware there's an L. Ron Hubbard life exhibition. And I took the head of the New York Mafia round the L. Ron Hubbard life exhibition. And as you go round that exhibition, there's a film on Dianetics. And so we go in and we sit and we watch this film on Dianetics. And he comes out of the film and he says, John, there's something to this. There's something to this. Let me tell you. And we were with somebody that was showing us around the exhibition. He says, let me tell you. There was this one time I was shot in the back 4 times. And they took me out in the boot of a car. And I should have died. And I left the body and I could see everything in my mind. I could see everything. And then I went back back in the body, and I decided, no, I'm not going to die, and I'm going to get revenge on those bastards. Anyway, the young lady that was touring us was an absolute, she didn't know. I hadn't, of course, told her that we were touring the head of the New York Mafia around the L. Ron Hubbard Life Exhibition, but clearly, you know, he'd been involved in some type of hit, and then somebody else had tried to counter-hit him. You know, these mafia types always like shooting each other, and that's one of the things they do for entertainment. And this fellow didn't die, and anyway, he lifted up his shirt in the middle of the exhibition. He showed us the bullet holes, so he wasn't bullshitting. He definitely had been shot in the back 4 times, and you know, it was quite obvious from the scar tissue. Anyway, to your point, Ken, we reached the end of the exhibition. I said, now listen, let me buy you as a gift, because you were so generous to me in New York. We had such a lovely evening. Let me buy you this book here. And he said, you know, John, that's very kind. That's very kind. But over there, I see that there's a picture book. He said, I'm going to take that, because even though I've got thousands of people working for me, I can't read. Never been able to read, can't read, not interested in reading. But the picture book, I like the idea of the picture book. So I'm going to take the Dianetics picture book with me back home to New York. And I found this incredibly interesting. This L. Ron Hubbard, he was a good guy. And, you know, it's funny. I've always wondered what happened to him. I never saw him again. But it's funny. He really, really appreciated. I don't think anybody, probably other than me, would have invited him around the L. Ron Hubbard Life Exhibition in Los Angeles. We had a lovely evening, and he's a great guy. So Joe, wherever you are, God bless you, and I hope you have passed that picture book on. But as you say, the picture book is really, really interesting. And you see, here's Michelle Humphrey says, Scientology, they will make you spend thousands in just textbooks. Now that is what I would call a classic piece of black propaganda. Here's the truth of the matter. In every church of Scientology, there's a library. And if you don't have any money, you can go into that library, and any church of Scientology is open to the general public, and you can read every single thing that's available to read, all the basic books on Scientology, for free. And if you can read everything in that library for free, that is there to read for free, in a year, what I would suggest you do is write to me if you can get through it all in a year, and I will personally send you a check for £10,000, because it's going to take you at least 3 years to read everything in that library for free. So this idea that, you know, you need to spend thousands of pounds to study Scientology is absolutely, you know, not true. And apart from anything else, whoever calls up here this evening and gives me a good reason as to why this book is something that they'd like to read, they're going to get it for free. And I will even pay for the postage. How about that? So that's the deal of a lifetime. Michelle, trust me, when one is dealing with the truth, and we've all learned this in the world in the last few years, okay, and certainly in the last few months, if you're dealing with the truth, those that have a vested interest in you not wanting, in those that don't want you to know the truth, they will attack you, and they will tell lies about the people that are telling the truth, and that is one such lie. If you want to go out and buy every book for yourself, surely you can. Absolutely you can. So Unity says hello from Minnesota. Very, very nice to have you on the show. And here we go. So really, really good to have you all here. That's what I wanted to say to you this evening. Very, very nice of you to, oh, here we go. Ken Ferrara says, and this is a very nice man, Scientology.org has many free courses and videos, and also Scientology.tv is a very, very good place to go. Maybe you could put something up. But I've been speaking to you for a while now, and I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the lovely evening here at Camelot Castle and go and speak to our new guests and new friends that have just arrived in a rather lovely helicopter. So I will leave you with those videos. This is our new friend arriving, and here he is, and then I'll leave you with how it actually is this evening at Camelot.